Good morning, everybody. I'm Sheriff Wayne Ivey of the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, and this morning I'm joined here at our jail complex by several of our partners who all share the same goal, and that is keeping our Brevard Public Schools safe from harm. Not only safe from active shooters, but also from intruders and other potential threats to our campuses, but also from the clowns who continually disrupt our classrooms, our assemblies with their bad behavior. Violent acts that we're seeing on campuses, there's cell phones in the classrooms, all of these things are disruptive to our classes. And this morning we're going to talk about how that's all going to change here at Brevard Public Schools. Our teachers are distracted. They can't do their jobs anymore. They're spending more time dealing with those that are disrupting their class than they are in teaching those that actually came there to learn. Joining me this morning is State Attorney Phil Archer, Brevard Public School Board Chair Matt Susin, Major Brian Neal, our Director of School Board Security for the Sheriff's Office, and Dolores Varney. Dolores is the business representative for Local 1010 IUPAT. This morning we're going to talk about, I guess for a lack of better words, the failure of the school discipline policy here in Brevard Public Schools. Folks, my team, our teachers, our administrators, and the overwhelming majority of students on our campuses, and I do mean the overwhelming majority of our students on campuses, are tired of this. We are tired of a very few disrupting classes, putting others' lives at risk, attacking our teachers both physically and verbally, and we are here this morning to talk about how we're going to fix that. A few clowns can't follow the rules, and so they're messing it up for everybody. Our teachers, our principals, they're actually powerless to do anything. With the current policy that's in place, our teachers and our principals are powerless to do anything to stop this. Our teachers have been handcuffed when it comes to school discipline. Our principals have been handcuffed when it comes to school discipline. Our teachers write a student up for disruptive behavior, whether that disruptive behavior is being loud and outrageous in the classroom or physically or verbally attacking one of our teachers. They write them up, they send them to the principal, and they're sent right back. Our principals aren't even allowed to enforce discipline in our schools. In order for them to enforce discipline, the referral has to be sent to 3 ladies that are actually at the school administration building. They get together and collectively talk about it and then send back to our schools and tell them, yes, you can enforce discipline, or no, you can't, send them back to the classroom. As a result, we are losing teachers in mass order. Teachers that can no longer take having their classes disrupted by these clowns. We're losing those that came here to passionately teach our students, that are passionate about learning and teaching others. They're going elsewhere. They're getting out of this business because not only are they struggling to teach their class, they're also being physically and verbally threatened. So I can honestly tell you that this is happening in our schools. I've personally witnessed it. Not long ago, we had an assembly that was taking place, an anti-bullying assembly that was taking place at Bayside High School, and I witnessed 2 of our teachers do everything they could to quiet down 3 kids. I'm talking about multiple times they approached these kids and told them to hold it down, to stop having their phones out in the middle of assembly. Not once did these kids care what those teachers had to say. They weren't threatened with any type of discipline or anything else because, quite frankly, they're not worried about getting in trouble. They know nothing's going to happen to them. They know they're not going to be given after-school detention. They're not going to be suspended. They're not going to be expelled. Or like in the old day, they're not going to have the cheeks of their ass torn off for not doing right in class. So we have teachers that are handcuffed. We have principals that are handcuffed. And I will tell you, and I've said this many times before, we got to get to these kids before they get to me here at this jail. And so starting right now, it's a brand new day, folks. It is a brand new day where school discipline is going to be put back in place in Brevard Public Schools. We have a school board that stands behind this. We have our teachers union that stands behind it. I can tell you that our team, all the way from the state attorney, from school district security, to the principals, to the teachers, we're all tired of this disruptive behavior by just a select few. So we're going to put a stop to it. This morning I'm going to ask Dolores Varney to come up. And Dolores is actually the business representative for Local 1010 IUPAT. And Dolores is going to share some stories with you, I think, that are going to really put into perspective just how bad this is. Her group, she has the bus drivers, the custodians, the folks that are in the classes working to help control these classes. So Dolores, if you'll come up and kind of share with us.
Thank you, Sheriff Ivey. We have so many support staff that are being abused by students. The instructional assistants that are in the classrooms are choked, they're bitten, they are scratched. It's an everyday occurrence. And they're so discouraged because nothing is done with the students. Or at least it appears there is nothing being done. If it is, it's taking way too long to remove these bad students from the classrooms. Also, our bus drivers, they're out on the road driving. They need their attention on the road, and they are distracted constantly by kids up on the bus. They will not sit down. It's very hard for these bus drivers to do anything to correct the bad behavior on the bus because, again, it appears nothing is being done to correct it. And then our bus drivers, when they feel they have no other choice but to either pull over beside the road to try to get control, then they're disciplined. And something needs to happen to protect our support staff employees from the abuse. We believe that all students should be respected and feel they are in a safe environment when they're there, but so should our employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Dolores. And to kind of add to that a little bit, not long ago, Dolores came and visited with our team, and things are so bad. Their bus drivers and custodians and classroom attendants are in such fear that they actually asked us to put together a self-defense class to train them in how to protect themselves, because the school board is not protecting them through the discipline policy. These kids are allowed to do this over and over and over again. And I guess the best way I can put this before I ask Matt Susin to come up is simply put, if you're a teacher that wants to have a safe learning environment to teach your kids in, we are going to put that in place starting today. If you're the parent of a student that wants to come to school, wants to have the perfect learning environment, safe learning environment to not only have academics but athletics, the arts, all of those things, we are going to put that in effect starting today. And I think you're going to hear Matt Susin talk about some of the things that we are going to do that's going to change the game a little bit. So if our school district chair will come up, Matt Susin.
Thank you, Sheriff. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's up here behind us. This takes a community moving forward to set discipline policies, and it doesn't just take one or the other. Currently, we are getting ready to sit down with the state attorneys, both unions, both the BFT and the 1010, along with the sheriff and other entities to create what will be the most prolific discipline policy the school district's ever had. There has never been a time when all these entities have come together to fight for our teachers. And let me explain something to you. As a teacher that started in 2005, I was an educator, not a person that managed discipline. And unfortunately, because of some of the things that have been happening recently, we are now looking forward to fixing some of these issues. Some of the issues like the bus drivers, who are sitting there having bottles thrown at the back of their heads while they're driving and putting kids in danger. Some of the bus drivers who at the end of their routes are spending at least 30 minutes trying to clean up some of the buses because it's so disgusting. Some of our IAs that are being bitten, being slapped, being everything else because they're sitting there trying to educate. These people came forward to educate in an institution of education that we want to put forward, but they're being hamstrung by the current disciplinary policy. This needs to end. We cannot have it anymore. Our teachers are no longer running education, they're actually running discipline. They're actually just sitting there trying to manage the discipline inside their classroom rather than educating. And there may be a couple of teachers out there that don't have this issue. The majority of them have reached out to me and cried, please make something happen. So moving forward to as of today, I will call an emergency meeting next week, and we're going to have all the entities together, and we're going to draft a policy that protects our teachers from violence, protects our bus drivers from violence. And we are no longer going to have this because at BPS, our teachers are number one, our staff is number one, and our administrators are number one. We're going to put together a streamlined policy that both the procedures from the top to the bottom are running, and they're not being clearly defined in other ways that we know that aren't protecting our teachers. You're number one. We're coming to protect you. It starts next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. So as we look at school discipline, there's two avenues that somebody that's being disruptive in class goes. One is handled administratively inside the school district. That's someone that's being disruptive in class, not following the policies and the procedures that's set forth by the schools. The other is criminal activity. If you want to see the distinction between how those two should be handled, you only need to look as far south as Parkland, because what they did down there was stop handling things on the criminal side and try to keep everything on the admin side. there are criminal acts that take place. That's what we're going to be involved in. We are going to deal with those. We are going to make sure that those individuals aren't on our campuses where they can cause harm to our teachers, our students, our faculty, our visitors, our volunteers. All of them are going to be in that realm. The administrative side of it, principals and teachers are going to be re-empowered to hold those accountable that are violating the rules, to hold those accountable that are disrupting classrooms and stopping the learning process. So I'm going to ask our state attorney, Phil Archer, to come up and share his involvement.
Thank you, Sheriff, and appreciate you letting our office be part of this process. You know, my family come from educators. My father was a retired educator, my wife a retired educator here in the system. And the community, we need to show them the respect they deserve, our teachers, our workers, custodians, bus drivers, and so forth. But not just respect, we have to ensure that they are safe. Not only those that work there, the teachers and so forth, but also our students. They must be safe, they must feel safe. And our office looks forward to working with the school system, the sheriffs, the other representatives that will be part of this process to ensure that we have a great policy that does just that. And we understand, we know there are times when the administrative process is the way to go, but there are other times when the criminal process should take over. And that's what we need to kind of look at to make sure we get the right cases to my office, to the sheriff's office, and we'll go from there. So again, Sheriff and School Board, I look forward to working with them in this process. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Bill. So to close out, we want our schools to be safe. We want our teachers to have the opportunity to teach. So probably the best way I can close this out is to simply say this. It's a brand new day. If you're a teacher that loves teaching and you want a classroom that you feel safe in, that you have the perfect teaching environment, your prayers are being answered starting today. If you're a principal that wants to be re-empowered to hold those accountable that are disrupting our classrooms, disrupting our schools, your prayers have been answered today. If you're a student that's coming to our schools and you want the opportunity to learn, to play sports, to do music, whatever it is that you want to do in our school environment, your prayers have been answered today. And if you're a little snot that's coming to our classes to be disruptive, you might want to find someplace else to go to school, because we're going to be your worst nightmare starting right now.